Xisco Munoz has been sacked as manager of Sheffield Wednesday just 10 games into the Championship season. Here is my reaction. Xisco becomes the first Championship manager to be sacked in the 23-24 season, and his Sheffield Wednesday record is utterly dreadful. Played 10, won 0, and he leaves the club bottom of the league, already 9 points adrift of safety with just over 3/4 of the season left to play. The final defeat came at West Brom this past Tuesday night, and anyone who saw his post-match interview with the BBC will know he was very much a beaten man at that point. It doesn't feel a great use of anyone's time to dig into specific results and statistics. It is not going to be very hard to find plenty of examples that tell us what we can all see. Sheffield Wednesday have been absolutely awful under Xisco, and his reign will go down as a complete disaster. What I do think is a more relevant discussion is the fact that there are two sides to this tale of woe. On the one hand, it may be completely true to say that Xisco wasn't good enough and that he did a poor job. But on the other hand, the conditions in which he had to work under were absolutely chaotic from even before he walked in the door. Now, I'm not saying they were impossible conditions, but certainly I think we can all agree a net negative when we analyse what went wrong here. Essentially, Sheffield Wednesday took all of that feel-good factor and potential momentum from a League One run that saw them score 181 points over the last 2 seasons and get promoted in one of the most dramatic playoff trilogies anyone has ever seen, and flushed all that down the drain. The parting of ways with Darren Moore was shocking. Mr Chansiri regularly added fuel to the fire with his public outbursts, including in the opening press conference announcing Xisco. That sort of stuff can be worked through, but the real crux of the issue was the lack of long-term outlook tactically and in terms of the recruitment inward to Hillsbrough. Darren Moore's Wednesday were pretty stoic and hard to play against. The regular observations were that they were a team built to get out of League One that would need a bit of a fresh coat of paint to step into the Championship. The January window saw no real reinforcements coming in. The head of recruitment left in the close season, and then hastily in come 5 loans, 3 free transfers and 4 players signed for fees. In an ideal world, there would have been a joined up succession plan in terms of that head of recruitment spot. The handover in the dugout would have seen a manager able to use the team and style of Darren Moore as a starting point, and then piece by piece, a team that was already used to be winning could be tweaked further. Needless to say, none of that has happened, and that is why Sheffield Wednesday are in the position they're in right now. We often get managerial departures in the Championship during the October international break. Wednesday have gone slightly ahead of the final game of this block at the weekend and will now have a couple of weeks to hire a new manager and hopefully get them working well in advance of round 12 on the weekend of October the 21st. So, what happens next? Well, we must remember this sacking comes off the back of Mr Chansiri's latest statement suggesting he's not prepared to put any more money into Sheffield Wednesday going forward. Now, I suspect that might be an issue for those who would otherwise come forward for the job. And more generally speaking, despite Sheffield Wednesday's size and stature, fan base and history, there will be good managers available who are not going to want to work with, for or under Mr Chansiri. The obvious name that always gets thrown about in these situations is Neil Warnock. He's available, of course, but with a big history with the Owls' rivals across the city. When the job was available just a month or 2 ago, Dean Smith and Nathan Jones were linked to. Both, of course, have had real strong Championship successes before, but were both fired from their most recent jobs. That's the pool you're fishing in, though, when you're struggling down near the bottom. So my take, for what it's worth, I tweeted it was sad and inevitable that Xisco was leaving. I think a few of the replies I got were a bit blind to the basic human empathy in the sad part of that tweet. It's a shame for Xisco that it didn't work out, but more than anything, that last interview told us that not much good was going to come from him hanging about at Hillsbrough. Of course, Mr Warnock could, I'm sure, do an 8-month stint and then hand over the club to someone next season with it still in the Championship. But that doesn't really solve the issue that Sheffield Wednesday need a long-term strategy in order to re-establish them as a competitive Championship club once again. I still maintain, though, that owners and chaos relegate clubs. So unless Mr Chansiri sells up or stops with all the nonsense, it is a really tough gig for whoever goes in. There you go, that's my take on Xisco, sacked by Sheffield Wednesday. Easy for me to say. Let me know in the comments what you think of my thoughts, or better still, reply with your own, especially on who you think should get the job. It's going to be a really busy day on the channel today. We've got hot takes to do later on. The Championship Check-In podcast is live tonight with Sam Parkin at 7 p.m. Still, if you want to catch up on yesterday's video, then do hang around, click here to check out the latest on the Premier League relegation picture and who may be joining Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship next season if they can get themselves out of the hole they are currently in.